everybody, Sean here with a brand new instant reaction. It's been a while since I've done one of these videos, so I figured I'd throw one up there now. I just got out of the theater from seeing a movie from another country that has happened to make its way over here to the United States. Get a limited release. I think it's only out for a week, and you've probably heard of it, or at least heard of the source material. It's a little movie called Shin Godzilla. Now, this movie is the latest Toho production, the latest production from Toho Studios, who basically created the Godzilla franchise and all that. And it's the first one they've done in a while, and I think it was done in kind of response to the 2014 Gareth Edwards film that came out, obviously, a couple years ago. They figured, right now Godzilla's kind of a big thing again, so let's make another movie and kind of bake off that success. I personally liked the Gareth Edwards film, and I was interested to see how they would kind of counter that. I think that if the American version had anything that they didn't do quite right, it's that it was the storyline just wasn't there. And it was more about, just kind of these big action sequences and all that, which is fine. I mean, if that's what you're catering to, then that's great. I'm a big fan of the original Godzilla film, the original 1954 movie. And one of the reasons that movie is so good is that it isn't just focused on exactly the damage and the disaster of it all, but it's focused on the intellect and the science of everybody trying to figure out how to defeat this menace. And I think that this new movie, Shin Godzilla, I think it's being marketed as Godzilla Resurgence here and there, but I think that this movie does a decent job of bringing a little bit of that back, but it almost lays it on too thick. I do have to say, we actually only get to see Godzilla in a handful of scenes, and it's done in the old style way. It's done with a man in, the Godzilla getup and all that. There's a little bit more CGI here and there. And in that aspect, the technical stuff, it's, more modernized. It almost presents all of that scientific stuff and all of the political ramblings to a fault. It's just laid on so thick that it's hard to keep up with everything, especially if you don't speak Japanese, you're reading subtitles the whole time. This movie might be the highest edited film I've ever seen. There must have been cuts every 3 or 4 seconds, just constant cuts back and forth. This would put Tarantino to shame on any day of the week. But again, you get a few scenes with Godzilla himself, but everything else is kind of the bureaucracy of it all, which is interesting. It's nice to see that and all these different factions, and they play it for humor a little bit here and there, but it's so rapid fire that it almost feels like you're missing out on quite a bit. Now, the action sequences of the film do work pretty well, and there's one in particular that Godzilla does something that you probably haven't seen before. I'm not a huge Godzilla fan in that I don't know everything about the ins and outs of his kind of lineage and what they've done with him in the past, but I've seen a handful of the Japanese films and the American versions, as you can imagine. But it ultimately, there was something that I had never seen Godzilla do in a movie before, and it kind of floored me a little bit, and that one particular sequence would be enough for me to say, hey, go check this out in a theater. That being said, as a whole, I don't know if I can really endorse this movie. I think it does a really good job of, bringing back a Japanese flavor to the franchise, especially since we're going to be getting more Godzilla films from American studios in the near future, and we're working up to the Godzilla vs. Kong film that'll come out, I think, in 2020 or something like that. But that being said, just a final wrap-up on Shin Godzilla. If you guys have a chance, it's only playing for a couple more days in theaters here in the United States. It's worth watching if you're a fan of Godzilla. I think it's nice to see Toho bringing it back and doing something a little bit different. Godzilla himself looks pretty badass. They did a pretty good job with making him look different enough and do some different things, and I think that alone is enough merit for this particular movie. But does it hold up to that 2014 American film? I don't know. I still like that one a little bit better. I think I got a little bit more hoot and holler out of that one than I did with this one, just because it was so hard to keep up with everything going on outside of the disaster portions of the film. But all that being said, Shin Godzilla, a good movie, and still way better than this. Hope you guys enjoyed this new instant reaction. I'm going to try again. I say this every single time I do this, but I'm going to try and be better about making them and putting them up there. If you are not already doing so, subscribe to this YouTube channel and check all of the other social media stuff in the description below. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that fun stuff. I'm trying to be more active on there as well. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and go Godzilla.